Good afternoon. In this session we're just going to cover the setup of landed costs. So from my role centre, what I'm going to do is navigate to my item charges. Again, this is all standard NAV, but we're just going to allude to it because it is involved in part of the setup. Go to the item charges, and this is where we'll set up the different types, whether it's a duty, freight, purchase or sales allowance. Again, for the landed cost, what we'd also recommend is you create different general product posting groups. But for this demo, what we are doing is we're just using the standard NAV service product posting group. Choose OK to that. So next part of the setup will be to look at the expected cost type charges. And again, we'll find that by searching in our search bar. And these two I've set up earlier. So again, we'll put in a code, and it's going to be a unique code along with a description. And then against that code, you will then pull through your item charge, so we know what the actual charge item is going to be applied against it. On this table, you've got the option to indicate whether it's actually a duty, and then you can also specify whether you want a default duty percentage applied to that. So it's more of a global setting. Likewise with freight, again you can enter a new code provided it's unique, pull through the item charge number, and again we can then tick the box or leave it blank, and in this case we'll leave it blank. Choose OK to come out of that setup. Again, depending on your language code that you've set NAV up in, or on your personalisation, we're then going to search for the tariff number. Again, if you've got a different language, it could be searched for under commodity codes. So against our tariff numbers, again, these are all standard NAV fields with the exception of the duty percentage. Again, here what you can do is actually specify a default percentage against that different tariff number. We'll choose OK. So once you've done some basic setup, the next step will be to then actually create an item card. So I am going to go into an item card that I've already created, and one that we used in our earlier demonstration. So if we go onto our item list and open up our item card. So again, standard NAV fields. On the foreign trade, we can then choose to bring through the tariff number. Again, if you do, that will then bring through the default percentage that you applied against it. And once we've set up our main features of the item card, we can then start applying the different types of costs. So we have made a few changes to the item card itself. The base unit cost typically refers to the actual material costs, and then we have other fields where you can actually start applying the expected cost or the landed cost charges. Expected cost charges here just gives an overall indication of how many types of charges you have applied. In this case we have two. We have a specific field for other, which could be freight, and we also have a specific field for the duty as well. So all I'm going to do is drill onto my expected item costs, and then that will open up a new table. So again, we can edit the list to add new costs. In this case I've already added two items, or two types, one for duty and one for freight. So typically we can see in here the default duty cost has come out as £1, and we have a duty rate of 10%. Now the 10% is being taken from the base cost, which we've already set up at £10. We also have our freight cost entered. You can do it in two ways. We can enter a default cost, or what we can also do is enter a freight cost per cubic metre as well. And then with other further setup, that will then calculate a default cost for you. So in this case, what we've done is just left it as 0.5. Choose OK. So along with the base cost, along with our expected cost other and duty cost, we then come to the standard cost of £11.50. Now we've set up the costs. This item can now be added to a purchase order line, and then the expected cost will flow through to the item ledger entries and the value entries upon receipt.